Hey, everybody. I don't remember what episode number this is, but this is one episode of our Can We Talk About Your WordPress Projects program, brought to you each week by the WP Project Managers Academy, which is the only place on the web where you can learn to consistently get your WordPress projects completed on time, within budget, with features that meet the client's business requirements without sacrificing profit. And you can also get certified as a WP project manager. You can find all about that at wproadmaps.com/join us. So let's get on with this training. As a review, in part one, we talked about the different areas where clients tend to have misconceptions or where you need to set expectations. There are four areas. We talked about respect, budget and payments, design, and common project problems. Today, we're going to talk about setting client expectations regarding respect. Clients often don't give us respect because they simply don't know things. They don't know all that's involved in building a website. They don't know what your role is on the project. They don't know what their role is on the project, that they need to stay in their own lane. They don't know what your communication preferences are. And it's your job to educate them. You do that both in a direct way and in a more subtle way. You might have other things on this list where you think clients lack respect, but these are the ones I hear about most often. Let's talk about how to generate respect for you as a professional. A lot of it really has to do with the words you use, how you refer to yourself. You know, words matter, y'all. And the word freelancer, I'm sorry, it just has a bad connotation. Clients perceive freelancers as being kind of flighty. That's not your fault. It's just that you end up paying for the sins of those who went before you, a lot of whom are flighty. We hear story after story about clients where their developer disappears. They don't know how to get into the back end of their website and all of those sorts of things, because a lot of people will start up WordPress agencies and have the best intentions in the world. They're great developers, but since they don't know anything about running a business or project management, they end up failing. So they just kind of disappear. I always suggest not using the word freelancer. Then you come into the problem with, well, am I a developer? Am I a designer? Am I a digital agency? Most of those things don't really describe what you actually do. A lot of people are talking about using the word implementer. I hate that one just as much as freelancer. It sounds like somebody who stands on an assembly line and puts things together. We do more than that. That sounds like a really low skill, as opposed to being a solution provider, which to me sounds like a high skill. You choose whichever one you want. But remember, client perception is everything. Finding out how your client feels about that terminology could be really helpful, and setting yourself apart as a professional. Now, let me say something about the we versus I thing. Back when I had this web app I was going to launch, I won a contest and got to go to entrepreneur school. I had this biotech guy who was my mentor, and he said, even if you're the only person on the team, you should always refer to yourself as we. Because first of all, you might not always be the only person on the team, even if that's your intent. If you're working with a client, that is a team and there is a we involved. It also sets that perception. Even if you think you need to hire a contractor at any point in the future, you can use we. It's not dishonest to use we, even if you are a solo provider. Another way to get respect as a professional is social proof and credentials. Ask for testimonials from your customers and then post them on your website. It's not enough to have the testimonial. You have to post it out there where people can see it. If you have a portfolio, if you've got some websites you've finished, make sure those are on your website. People are always wanting to look at previous work you've done. But if you don't have those, it's okay. You can get a colleague who has authority and knows your work to give you a testimonial. If Nathan Ingram gave me a testimonial saying, I know what I'm talking about in project management, and folks know who Nathan Ingram is, or they look up who he is, then that testimonial may go quite a long way. So don't think it has to only be your customers who give you testimonials. If you want to do a portfolio and you don't have any clients yet, build some dummy sites. All you need is the homepage. build a few dummy sites for your portfolio, or you know what, just go without it. It's not really essential for setting yourself apart. But if you have those things, make sure people can see it on your website where you're hopefully getting leads for clients. Another thing you can do if you don't have any real social proof, and even if you do, is to post your credentials on your website. These are courses you've completed, talks you've given at WordCamps or conferences, certifications, or other achievements you've earned. Now, let me say something about speaking at WordCamps or conferences. Even if that's not really your shtick and not what you love doing, if you've done that and you put it on your website, it makes you sound like a subject matter expert. It goes a long way towards positioning yourself as a professional. For example, if I use the WP Project Managers Academy certification as a certified WP project manager, what I'm certifying for you guys is that you know how to do the things like control scope creep and get projects completed on the time. It doesn't necessarily guarantee implementation, that you're good at being able to implement all this, but still any kind of credential like this can be impressive to a client. Also, it helps set you apart as a subject matter expert and a professional. But it does go without saying, you should never ever claim to have some credential or social proof or whatever that you don't really have. Another way to get client respect, to respect you as a professional, is by using a company implementation methodology. You've all heard me talk about the 6 productivity principles for WordPress project success. If you have something like that, make sure it is in your materials and your clients know about it, because it makes you look like more of a professional. Also, by acknowledging common project problems. People just don't realize how far this goes in terms of setting you apart as a professional. When you acknowledge most projects run into this thing, that thing, and this thing, you show them you have a plan to manage those issues, makes you look like a rock star professional, because you got the experience to know these things happen and to have things in place that control them. That's really the big reason we created the Project Managers Academy in the first place, is to teach you all how to manage those common problems so you can look like a rock star all the time. Now let's talk about how clients don't respect what you actually do or what's involved in building a website. One of the biggest reasons for this misconception by clients is this bullshit that you can build a website in an hour. I just found this ad on the web somewhere. I don't know where, but you could build a WordPress website in an hour. I can build a WordPress website in an hour if I have all the requirements and all of that, but there's a whole lot more to it. We know that, right? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that Wix puts out there, and Squarespace and GoDaddy and some others about, oh, don't worry, you can get on the web in less than an hour. We all know that's bullshit. But this is what we have to fight against, because this is what clients are seeing on TV. This is what they know. So how do you get them to respect everything that's involved in building a website? Well, one of the big things I do is roles and responsibilities. I list roles and responsibilities in my proposal with a description of what each of these roles entails. Then I put my name by every single one of them. And by the way, this might not be all the roles. These are the main ones on any web project. You should list all the things you do in all the separate areas as different roles. I present this in a chart, and I have 2 or 3 bullets by each one to say what their responsibility is, what they'll be doing. Then I put my name by each one. That goes a long way in getting your client to understand building a website is more than just putting pieces together and having it display on the web. So that's how I handle that. The other place to establish your roles is making sure the client understands their role and that they're actually a team member that needs to be involved throughout the project as the project sponsor. You want to clearly spell out their role as the sponsor. I call it the sponsor. It's the way to set them into a management position without letting them think they're managing the project. You want to clearly spell out their role as sponsor and the role of the project manager, so they see they're not the project manager, you are. And then list any other management roles on the project. I always like to include a content manager, because even if the client is filling that one too, I still list it, because this spurs the conversation regarding who's going to do the content. Do they actually have enough time to do it? And what exactly is involved? It's another opportunity to try and convince the client not to do their own content. Probably the most common complaint from providers is my client doesn't respect my time. How do you do something about that? Well, that comes down to making sure your client understands your communication process. First of all, you need to make sure your communication is clearly spelled out. Then you need to include that in your contract or your proposal or whatever documents you use to educate your client and have them agree to certain things. You want to include in your communication process what your available hours are. What kind of response time can they expect? What are the acceptable methods of communication? How will project reporting be handled and how issues will be escalated as well? Anything surrounding communication, you need to spell out. Any pieces a client needs to be aware of needs to either be in your contract or your proposal. All right, this is a short one this week, so let's summarize what we just covered. If your client doesn't respect you as a professional, then do professional things. Look like a professional, list your credentials, get testimonials, put some social proof out there. There's a myriad of things to do, but set yourself apart as a professional and try to position yourself as not a worker bee. The client's the boss and I'm the worker. You are colleagues working on the same project together to accomplish their goal. So whatever you can do to set yourself there as opposed to being the worker bee or a button pusher, all the better. All right, if your client doesn't respect what is involved, list those roles and responsibilities, show who's doing them, usually just you or 2 or 3 people on your team. Clearly spell out the client's role. These are in the documents they're going to agree to. If your client doesn't respect your time, make sure your availability is clearly spelled out and agreed to, and make no exceptions. That's how you set yourself apart as a professional and battle the problem of your client not respecting you are a colleague of theirs and not just a hired gun. This is a 5-part series. In the first part, we talked about what all the client misconceptions are. Today, we talked about respect. Next Monday, we're going to talk about how to set proper expectations regarding budget. Let me change this display back to just me. On Friday, we're going to continue this discussion about setting yourself apart as a professional. We're going to continue the discussion about respect and how do you get clients to respect you? Because these are the things I know how to do and the things I know work, but I'm sure some of you have tips and tricks and some of our other people have some tips and tricks. So that's what we're going to chat about on Friday at 11 a.m. Remember, WP Project Managers Academy is free to join. There is a premium program. You get everything you need in the free program. I hope to see you inside the academy or inside the Facebook group. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on Friday. Have a great day. Bye.